The most difficult part of my job is seeing patients who you think are going to do well do badly. People where you feel that their lives should have been longer, their cancer should have been cured, their suffering should have been less.
There has to be a change. What we've been doing for many years has got us so far. It'll help to cure a lot, control many, but I think ultimately the novel treatments that are really going to find their way into things like gene therapies that'll work.
One of our goals is to get a mixture of scientists, clinical people, oncologists, surgeons, clinical investigators working together to try and resolve questions that arise and to try and bring new leads that may be applied and can be used early in the treatment of patients.
In 1999, a renowned surgeon knew that a world-class research community in Cork could have an impact for patients. From its first home in a borrowed old pathology lab at Mercy Hospital, it later moved to the state-of-the-art Leslie C. Quick Laboratories and then finally expanded again into a purpose-built centre within UCC's Translational Health Campus. It was a foundation structure on which interdisciplinary programs were built to translate new discoveries into new treatment approaches. It has already led to 9 clinical studies and trials.
It's apposite to pay tribute to Professor Jerry O'Sullivan, who started the genre in Cork really of clinician scientist. At a time when he was an extremely busy surgeon, there were other people around him who shared this philosophy, and that allowed, I suppose, a spark of energetic and interested clinicians to bring that research culture into their everyday occurrence with patients. From there has grown a group of scientists who tapped into the obvious translational potential of that.
Jerry was ahead of his time, and he knew what patients needed, he knew what science could do, and didn't have any hesitation in that Cork couldn't be a leader on an international stage.
There have been huge advances since 1999.
20 years ago I would have been in the field of gene and cell therapy with no approved drugs on the market, and now we have our gene and cell therapy as regular drugs in regular hospitals, and more on the way. Now it's perfectly accepted that you could have a genetically engineered live microbe being introduced into a cancer patient. I absolutely appreciate that it's getting tougher for clinicians to have time to get involved in research, and they work hand in hand with us to go and progress our work in a realistic way. We're guided by clinicians and patients themselves in terms of what's actually needed. So we always try and start our research with an unmet need and try and come up with a solution to fill that need.
I suppose when we initially talked about autophagy and the impact that could have on cancer cell biology, we were very excited about the science and the discovery and the potential for moving that discovery into better patient treatment. We are focused on trying to understand how cancer cells respond to chemotherapeutic drugs, because cancer cells are very resistant to chemotherapeutic drugs. And what we have discovered in the lab is that there's a process called autophagy which helps these cells survive. And because we understand more about this process now, we can design new treatments that can overcome this resistance mechanism. We're delighted to be able to say that we're going to be opening a clinical trial by the end of this year based on research that we've done several years back, and we couldn't have done that without the clinicians at our side helping us to push it in that direction.
Over the last 20 years there's been a revolution in cancer care. In my own specific field of treating skin cancers, therapies have been developed across Europe, but with huge input from Cork and Cork-based researchers that have taken a concept from the laboratory and the basic science all the way through to a cancer treatment that's being delivered in multiple centres all the way across Europe, that's transforming the quality and quantity of life of skin cancer patients.
So I've tried a few things on my journey. I had a lot of surgeries over the years. For me personally, I was running out of options because the surgery was getting very intense. To think that there was people out there searching for different ideas and different routes to a result here. The electrochemotherapy was the first of the new style non-surgery journeys for me. So that was amazing to hear that it was there, and it was amazing to try it. I'm so fed up with it. I've beaten this thing around 4 or 5 times in my life. The joy of beating it, and then to be told at some point again that it has come back, is just soul destroying.
Ian is participating in a clinical trial. Scientists here believe that delivering an electrical pulse or shock directly to the tumour, along with an immunotherapy drug and low-dose chemotherapy, will improve survival rates for advanced melanoma cancer patients. For Ian O'Callaghan and his family, the clinical trial offers hope.
Thanks to research, there's been huge inroads made into these traditionally difficult to treat cancers with bad outcomes. And very good examples of that today would be melanoma. The whole field that I work in is very dynamic, it's never static. The treatment today is vastly different to what it was even 5 years ago, and is quantum leaps different to what it was 10, 15 years ago. And that's only thanks to people thinking about research the whole time.
Just look at my situation, where it went from 2004, where there were no effective treatments for patients with advanced melanoma, to now where there are effective treatments, and I'm one of those patients who have benefited from that because I am now stage 4. I have been stage 4 with 4.5 years, and because of the treatment that has come through those research channels, I am now able to live with a really good quality of life. I'm not cured, but I've had 4.5 years of excellent quality of life. I mean, this would have been unbelievable and unheard of back in 2004. I would have had 6 months tops.
My great hope is that this continues and continues strong. As I said, we've come so far, and it's probably only half the battle. So hopefully there's a lot more of clinical trials and research.
I would look to the future quite hopeful that that there will be something else for me in the future that coming down the pipeline. There's always things in development. We're always looking for that next big breakthrough. I am hopeful that by the time I need something else, that it will be there for me.